Trump just had another press 6 p.m. Eastern, as we do every day. If com/live, that's when we do our regular show, 6 o'clock. And then these days, normally it's 2 hours. These days it's 1 hour, but then we do a half an hour for members, tyt.com/join to get that. But I'll give you a quick update now because it's important. One of the pieces of misinformation that he had was, it's okay, some parts of the country don't have it at all. No, we just don't have testing in some parts of the country. In fact, there's now significant outbreak in Louisiana. There's new cases, terrible cases in Kentucky, and it goes on and on. But a reporter asked him a really good question. Why'd you pick Easter as the day that we're going to come out of the social isolation? Because you had mentioned the end of the 15-day period, which would be March 30th. Is there any scientific reason, a medical reason why Easter? So the best quote is at the end. Hold for it. It says, during the normal shows at 6 o'clock Eastern, we have the videos for you guys. But here I'm going to have to do a dramatic reenactment of Donald Trump's answer. Okay? Every part of it is hilariously terrible, but the end is the best. So here we go. He says, I think we're looking at a timeline. We're discussing it. We've had a very good meeting today. If you add it all up, that's probably 9 days plus another 2.5 weeks. Okay, that's true, but you threw out a bunch of numbers there. Okay, is there a reason medically why we should wait 9 days and then another 2.5 weeks? Or are we just throwing out random numbers? Okay, hold on, let's keep going. He says, it's a period of time that is longer than the original 2 weeks, so we're going to look at it. We'll only do it if it's good, and maybe do sections of the country. Okay, first of all, there's actually so the hopeful note is we'll only do it if it's good. Okay, good. That's a very hopeful note. I hope he doesn't do it no matter what. He does it based on the advice that the scientists and the doctors are giving him. Okay, and yes, it does depend on the sections of the country. New York has it way worse now. Some have described it as ripping through New York like a speeding bullet. It's not a good analogy. It's not a pleasant analogy, but unfortunately an effective one. So the rate of disease in New York is horrible, but it is throughout the country. So if you don't know, the number of cases in the last 2 days has doubled in America. 95 people have died in the last 24 hours. So, and remember, the testing is super slow. The number of cases in the country are actually way greater than that. One of the leading scientists in the country that is studying the disease just tested positive. Gets worse and worse as we go along. But anyway, let me go back to the fun part, which is reading Donald Trump's quotes. He said, continue to answer why Easter. He said, we do large sections of the country that could be 2. We're very much in touch with Tony, that's Dr. Fauci, and Deborah, that's Dr. Birx, and they're on the task force, that's good, on everything we're doing. Okay, good. He's consulting with the doctors, and he's not often listening to them, but at least he's consulting with them. They're still on the team. He hasn't fired them. I'm looking for rays of light here, okay, and hope. And by the way, if you ever see my video pause during a live video here on YouTube, it's because because I'm using my phone and something's happening with the phone. Okay, anyway, we're getting to the best part now. So far, still no real answer on why Easter, except it's 9 days plus 2.5 weeks. Okay, so finally he gets to it. You ready? Reporter jumps in, Collins asks, who suggested Easter? Who suggested that date? And Trump confesses it was him. Based on what? I just thought it was a beautiful time, a beautiful timeline. He picked it because it was a beautiful timeline. This is the person in charge of the country. Look, it's funny because it's so absurd, it's so outrageous, it's so crazy. And we have, a third-rate mind in charge of the country. And I'm being really kind by saying third-rate. And so the unfunny part is how deadly serious it is. So we have a guy who is not capable of understanding facts, sometimes simple facts, let alone complicated facts like this, at a time when we don't have enough ventilators. So in New York, they think that they need 30,000 ventilators. They only have 4,000. So the governor is asking, what do you want me to do with the other 26,000 if we're right, if the scientists are right and we need another 26,000 ventilators to save people's lives? I mean, how unprepared this government has been is basically criminal negligence. So there's not anywhere near enough testing, so we can't isolate the people who are already sick. That's so important to limiting the spread of the disease. Number two, we don't have enough masks, even for medical professionals to wear. Outrageous. So that's partly why the doctors are getting sick. And we should have tests that allow us to test on the spot. The tests that we do have, the limited number of tests we have, actually take 3 days to give you the result. And then those people are walking around without knowing if they have it or not. Other countries, China, South Korea, the rest of Europe, has immediate tests. You do a blood prick, you get an answer in 15 minutes. The FDA has not even approved that here, let alone bringing in those test kits. And every one of these things is costing people's lives. So instead, we have a president who didn't prepare for any of that, has left New York high and dry, let alone the rest of the country. But he's desperate to get the stock market moving, so he's saying he picked Easter because it was a beautiful time, a beautiful timeline. That is not a rational reason for when we end social distancing or self-quarantining in a massive, unprecedented pandemic. All right, last thing, quotes here. He keeps going on about what a beautiful time it is. So Collins cuts in again. So that wasn't based on any of the data. And I'll give you one more quote here. He says, it was based on a certain level of weeks from the time we started. And it happened to arrive, actually, we were thinking in terms of sooner. I'd love to see it come sooner, but I just think it would be a beautiful timeline. He loves to repeat himself. And by the way, he has said that if we ended by Easter, he would love to see packed churches. No, don't do that. Don't pack the churches. Don't pack the temples, the mosques, anything. Do not pack people next to one another. And all the scientists are warning, that is not a good timeline. Pick a rational timeline based on real reasons, not based on the fact that it's beautiful, a beautiful timeline. Okay, anyway, it's deadly serious, but whenever it's Trump, he's such a clown. You can't help but laugh at what a ridiculous buffoon he is. All right, anyway, as you can tell, our self-quarantine continues, doing this from the home studio. Please help out. tyt.com/go. It makes a giant difference to keep us on air so we can keep you informed. Thank you, guys.